Good everyone, welcome to today's video. Today we have a Spade review on the BT42. Now I know this tank has been asked for by the community for quite a long time, and personally it was one that I wanted to see. However, when Joe was looking up the information on the vehicle shells, I was a little bit worried about it. And as it turns out, I had every right to be. Now I know some people are going to jump in the comments after hearing that first bit and say, the shells aren't the problem, you're the problem, blah 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 blah. No. A lot of players, from my experience in matches, in my Discord, and even on YouTube videos, have been saying about the inconsistent shells. You'll even see it in some gameplays. And whilst the heat does improve that to some extent, it doesn't give the vehicle enough, shall we say, redemption after getting the heat round, which is a rank 3 modification. I'd just like to point that out. So normally I would cover the gun, the mobility, and things like that, but we're not going to do that just yet. We're actually going to talk about two other tank destroyers that are at the same BR as the BT42, and we're going to discuss why I would rather take one of these two over this thing, which I know that's coming from something out of the blue, but that's just my personal opinion. You're more than welcome to have your own opinion, but this is just my opinion. So, as I said, armor and everything like that, we're not going to come to this just yet. We need to talk about this thing, the SBJ FM4344. I absolutely love this thing. Its armor is surprisingly trollish, as you can tell, 50mm. It's got 30mm in some parts, and obviously 15 on the sides and the rear, and some parts of the rear even 10, and obviously this part's open topped. But the gun on this thing, whilst it is harder to aim, obviously it's on a lower level crew, that explains the reload rate. This vehicle for me is far more consistent with its weaponry. The 150mm howitzer, well, recoilless rifle I should say, is extremely potent. I've not had a shell not kill a tank ever since the overpressure changes, thanks to this shell, or this vehicle here. Whilst it is a little bit harder to aim than the BT42, this thing can take a hit, and most importantly, it can dish out a lot more damage than the BT42 can. Now let's go to the IKV, which is smaller. It does have a smaller gun, and obviously you can't really, well, I mean, you can fire HE out this thing, but you're only going to be really killing trucks and things like that. But in general, the vehicle itself is highly mobile, just like the BT42. It's more maneuverable than the SBJ, but it obviously comes with some trade-offs. It's even more open top than the SBJ. The BT42 is the only one that actually has an enclosed turret. But obviously the penetration on this gun, minus the heat round on the BT, is much superior to obviously these two. But remember, these are howitzers, this is an actual tank gun. That's the difference here. However, the negative 20 gun depression makes this tank a very good ambush piece. And most importantly, that mobility combined with its, well, I should say, doubled with its really good reverse rate of around 9 miles an hour, which is actually pretty good for low tier. This tank definitely brings some good things to the table. And this is why, not only because I have a talisman on it, and I've actually used it to unlock the BT42, I would much rather take this, because this to me is a much more consistent vehicle. So now then, let's cover the BT42 in a little bit more detail. So the armor is obviously the same as a BT7. That's what the hull is based on. The hull armor is only 20mm thick, with the sides being 15, the rear being 13, and this upper part being 10. The turret itself does have some overlapping parts, but no one shoots the turret. That's all I'll say. There's multiple layers of 16mm, which can protect you against 50 cal fire, but then they just need to go for the turret ring, and that's it. And obviously the hull cannot stop 50 cals either. You're going to be running into a lot of autocannons, and at least at this moment in time, you're also going to be running into a lot of other Swedish vehicles. Mainly these things. And I was actually planning to show you a game that I had on... Is it Severa? I can't remember the name about Seversk 13, I think it is. I don't remember map names too well. Where the heat round from my BT42 didn't kill another BT42, but another player's heat round did. And he hit the exact same Excuse me. I'm a little bit unwell at the time of this recording, as you'll see in the gameplay as well. So I do apologise for that. But I was actually planning to show you where his heat round one-shot him, and my heat round merely damaged the fuel tank. And it's inconsistent moments like this which get this vehicle killed. And even on my best crew, this is a 10.5 second reload, which can make a lot of difference when you're dealing with autocannons, high fire rate, low caliber cannons like 37mm, 45mm, etc. And for me, the BT42 isn't worth the investment. Obviously the turret's 16mm all around, the top of the turret is even worse, and for me at least, the BTs never seem to die from aircraft strafing their hulls anyway. It's always the turret, and this thing is going to be even worse for that. Let's talk about the shells briefly. So as I said, the HE is extremely inconsistent. The 2kg explosive charge is actually okay, but obviously the penetration isn't amazing, and most importantly, it's inconsistent. Now what do I mean by inconsistent? Well, sometimes you'll hit a tank and it will blow it to smithereens, other times you'll hit a tank and you'll do absolutely fuck all to it. The heat round obviously does negate a bit of this, but again, it's still inconsistent, it doesn't always do it, and this shell doesn't overpressure as often as the HE does. Now, whilst it does have a higher explosive mass, that's not the point. The point is that the heat round, whilst it does have a higher explosive charge, it can't use it like a HE round can. A heat and a HE round are very different in how they're being used. So just bear that in mind if you're using this vehicle. But in conclusion, I would personally give the BT42, whilst I wouldn't say don't play it, I would just say prepare to have your overhypeness a bit knocked down, is the way I would put it. I'm not saying this is a bad vehicle before someone says that in the comments, but it's just a vehicle that I personally wouldn't play over something like the SPJ. But anyway, I'm going to hand you over to the table now. If you want to skip to just the gameplay, where you're going to see another thing that, well, to be fair, all vehicles are affected by this in a minute. But you're also going to be seeing a lot of revenge killing. You're also going to be seeing a lot of inconsistent shells, because you'll see a HE round friggin' not kill a P-bill of all things. If you want to skip to the gameplay, timestamp in the description below. But anyway, let's go take a look at my Spade table and see how we did. I'll see you all in just a moment. And welcome to my little table. And we're going to be doing something a little bit different from now on with these Spade tables. So typically I would go through, it doesn't matter if I have loads of good games or not, I would typically go through and describe every battle in detail, obviously covering ground kills, assists, air kills, etc. I didn't get any air kills in this tank, but that's not the point. The point is that I'd go through every battle describing the silver lines, the RP, and just things like that. But I'm not going to do that anymore. We're only going to cover the interesting battles, because otherwise it's just going to be too long-winded, and some of you may not appreciate that. So I've also had feedback from this in the past. People prefer it if I'm more short with these sorts of things. So the only interesting battles throughout the Spade in this tank were Battle 4, Battle 6, and Battle 11. Now, Battle 4, I believe, is the one that you're going to be seeing, if memory serves me correctly. It's either that or 6. And as you can tell, 3 kills on each, 1 base capture on Battle 4, and 1 assist on Battle 6. And as you will notice on the death with the question mark, because obviously it doesn't always mean I'm going to die in the match, you will notice that it says Y on every single match I played in the vehicle. I don't really need to explain it any further, but that means yes, I died in every single match in this vehicle. Now, that wasn't just the vehicle's fault. I'm not going to say that straight away, but obviously the inconsistent shells did not contribute much to the deaths. It was mainly the fact that I couldn't put vehicles down, and the reload rate was letting me down in that scenario. Obviously, revenge killing made up for about 30 to 40% of deaths throughout this Spade, and the rest of it was mainly autocannon fire from not being able to kill a light vehicle with a nearby HE splash, or sometimes even a direct hit I've had. And it just really opens your eyes up considering the amount of hype that was behind this vehicle. But as I said, when I looked up the shells for this vehicle before it even came out, I was a little concerned, and I think I had every right to be. One other thing, you may notice down there it says nation, and it is Sweden there. It's in the Swedish tech tree. I don't care if it has a Finnish flag on it, it's going in the nation that it actually is in the tech tree. It doesn't really matter, but I'm just pointing that out. But anyway, I'm going to hand you over to the gameplay now. I hope you enjoyed seeing the BT42. Obviously, I wouldn't really suggest playing this thing over the SPJ. So, let me know what you think in the comments below. Obviously, don't just spread hate. That's not what we're about. Just try to realise where I'm coming from and respect my personal opinion on this vehicle. Because I personally don't like it over the SPJ. But anyway, I'll hand you over to the gameplay now, and I will see you all on the next one. Alright, let's take position up here. Nice and gentle on the brakes, that's the important part. This thing's brakes are very, shall we say, spongy, like they don't react very well. Especially when you're driving at full whack. Looks like there's a few tanks up there already. Yeah, there's one. And that's why I used a heat. HE probably would have killed that, but yeah, I prefer the heat. I prefer the heat. Right, teammates moving up there. He just died. There's something over there. Just missed him. Mistimed the shot. That's okay. Just gonna move my phone a moment. There we go. Yeah. Unfortunately, the team is not really pushing into the cab. I mean, there's some flanking, but at the minute... Oh wait, hang on. Oh, fuck off. That would have been him. And that just cost the life of one of my teammates. Well, let's move up. Might as well. I'm not going to rush in with a 10-second reload. Got to be careful. Especially given the amount of autocannons at this BR. Hang on a minute. Man of gunner, that's bad. The only thing that's bad about the HE is it doesn't always one-shot. Kill assist. I'll take it. It's better than nothing, I suppose. Jesus. Is it just me? Is the artillery more brutal this patch? I don't know if that's just me being observant. Aww, a little bit off. That's okay. Right. We need to head over here. I'm going to load the HE for this. He's just fired at me. I think we're going to have some company. And by that I mean unwanted company. Let's have a look. So this is the problem when you're hearing so many different engine sounds. Some of which are the same as yours. It's very off-putting. Missed my shot, that's okay. I didn't really aim it that well, to be brutally honest. Well, there goes him. A little bit more forward, buddy. Thank you. I think we killed him earlier. I kind of feel bad for him now. See, you can't like, I know some people have watched videos of this thing already, like being rushed around, getting kills left, right, and center with cuts in between. It's not that simple. With something that is this fragile to autocannons, you have to be so careful. And given the amount of freaking CAS holes right now, you definitely have to be careful. There's so many tanks that just got lit up near the spawn. Right, I don't remember the range to that spawn. Are you a friendly? Yes, you are. There we go. That's a revenge bomb. And he didn't get it, at least. Excuse me. If you're new to the channel and you just skipped to the gameplay, as I'm recording this, I have a bit of a cold right now, and it's just spread to my chest, so yeah, sorry about the coughing or anything like that. And the fact that I sound a little bit croaky. Again, apologies for that. Where did that come from? I just saw my teammate get hit from the right. I've got an idea. Let's run down this wall. What can we see? There? Nope, a little bit off, that's okay. You gotta be... You can't rush these things, you gotta be careful. How in the hell did that not kill that car? Oh, more revenge killing! And this time he gets it. Unfortunately, that's just how most of your matches are going to go in this tank. You're going to get a couple of kills, and then you're going to get revenge bombed. It's just how it goes, unfortunately.